No, this is your rodeo here.
It's our rodeo.
Traps is your rodeo.
Traps is my rodeo.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I had a viewer request that, you know, he had seen me working on my boat over there. I did a video on that. In case you hadn't seen it, you can go hunt it up. It's in the on the water playlist. But anyway, he said, oh, we're going to learn how to make crab traps. I never thought about doing a video on how to make crab traps.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
But what I thought I would do is, you know, because there is a science to building crab traps.
It's a specialized field.
It is specialized. And not only do you have to know how to use a crab trap, if you're going to be effective and efficient on the water, or, yeah, that, you need to learn how to build a good crab trap and do it right. So what we're going to do in this video is we are going to show you how to prepare the wire for you to build a crab trap. And if you're thinking about learning how to produce crab traps in mass quantity, this will be a good video for you too. All right, I cut it down, I go over the process, and I demonstrate to you how it's done, and then you can kind of take it and you can run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get done with this video, you're gonna know how to build a crab trap, and a lot of them.
That will catch.
That will catch. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I'm not done yet, by the way. Just stick around and watch the video.
All right.
All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do right now is we're going to cut out a roll of wire at 20 meshes for the baffle, and then we're just going to stack them. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and finish this roll up here. Okay, now what we're going to do, we've got the baffle wire cut, and what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the panels for the lids. I call them lids, and others call them doors on the top. And this particular panel here makes two doors, and we just cut these panels here 10 meshes wide, and then when we get a little bit further into it, I'll show you how to cut those. A little bit about how you need to get this cut. You can see I got this cut here along that edge. Now when I push this through and I get to my mark on 10 meshes, I need to cut it on the back side with this cutter. Okay, and then I have to come in and trim the ends off, and you can see that I line, you know, the inside line of the wire with the blade, and then cut it like that. Nice and even. We're just about done with these. Generally what we do when we get started building the traps, Tammy will do the catching on the other end. All I got to do is push it, hit the mark, line it up and cut it. Otherwise it would take like almost forever. Okay, Tammy went inside to take a break, get some coffee. We've got our baffles and our lids cut. And what I'm going to do right now while she's doing that is I'm going to go ahead and get these panels all set and prepped and ready to put the trap together. I'm just going to set these lids off to the side. I've got to get those cut and get those ready, and then I'm just going to, I got to what I call wing the baffle panels, and when I say wing them, I got to bend the sides. I grab these guys usually about 2 at a time. I'll throw that out of the way. I usually grab these 2 at a time, and then I bend them against the concave of the wire. If you can see how that's rounded like that, I usually bend them back in towards that concave. And then what I got to do is I got to come in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meshes and bend it. I mean, it's not rocket science. So I usually just set them on the edge of the table, 2 at a time. Make sure I'm bending it right there along the seam of that one wire or mesh. And then I'll flip them over and do the same thing again. Concave side down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll get a visual on it. You know, as time goes by, and you won't have to worry about counting. Then after I get these all bent and stacked, we've got to cut the meshes in the center. Tammy generally does that. I'll get these bent and I'll get them stacked and I'll get them ready for her. And then while she's doing that, I'm moving on to the next step. Okay, the next step in this process for me is to cut the lid panel. Okay, and this lid panel that's 10 meshes wide needs to be 7 meshes deep. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these lids. I'll let you see how I do a couple of these, and then we'll move on to the next step. But there you go, 10 and then 7, and then 7 from this side. I'll show you how I do it. Come back 7, shove it through, cut along the edge of that mesh. Whoops, fell in the catch bucket. There you go, 1 lid panel. Okay, now I've got to go 7 meshes from the other direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got to cut off the last 2 or 1.5 on that side, second panel. These are how we construct our bait wells. We use these in all the commercial crabbing traps that we do build. This particular one is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, vinyl coated. It's round on one end and flattened and stapled on the other. For the most part, that's probably about how we build 95% of our traps. So that method of constructing the trap with a bait well like that is, you know, pretty much standard throughout Florida. I mean, the traps that we build go to a lot of the different crabbers, all the way from like Destin down to Crystal River, Tampa. You know, we've been that far. So anyway, in order to do this, you've got to cut a roll of 12-inch bait well wire, 12 inches being the height, okay, and you want 26 meshes long. That way when you roll it and staple it together and get it all bent, it actually will fit exactly where it needs to go. You know, this bait well wire is a little tougher to cut, so be ready, you know, when you go to manufacture that. Now you can use, you know, I mean, as far as the traps that we build, they're all vinyl coated, okay? And that is to assist in, you know, in retarding the deterioration of the trap, if that makes any sense. And so, you know, we generally use vinyl coated wire. You could use, you know, galvanized steel wire and get the appropriate paint that you need to paint and give it a coating to help protect it from rusting. But for the most part, that's all we use. I mean, it cuts down on yearly maintenance. It cuts down on overall cost of the trap, you know, as far as like labor and so forth. Now to bend these panels like I was showing you, you need some way to kind of like round them off. A lot of guys use steel pipe, a lot of guys use a roller. In my particular case, I've got me an old fence post that was laying out here, 3-inch fence post. I got a couple of pieces of decking boards screwed in from the side on each one of these. And I've got a, let me show you what I got down here. And I've got a 2x2 that's mounted up underneath of the fence post that I use to catch the wire, you know, as I'm pushing and bending it. So, and you'll see where I'm doing that. Stack of about, I don't know if Tammy said there was 50 or 75, but it don't matter. I just got to get them all bent. But I'll stick that wire up in there under that fence post, and that 2x2 down here will catch it. And then what I do is I kind of form and manipulate around the fence post. And then once I get done with that, I just set it aside, and then we'll finish stapling and bending the rest of it. Okay, for the most part, I got that stack of bait well wire rolled over. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I want to take this wire that I've rolled over the my little bender operation over there, and I'm going to go ahead and just staple these together. And what I do is I staple on 12-inch bait wells. I staple them 5 times and as equally spaced as you can get it. March right on through these, and when I get done with these, I should have enough between what I had in the basket and this part of the wire. You know, I'm hoping to get at least half of these built. 132, I got enough for right around 70. But as you can see, it's not rocket science. But we got these nice pneumatic tools for this operation for 2 years now. When Tammy and I first moved out here, I did all this by hand.
All right, what I'm doing now is Randy has went ahead and bent the corners so that I know where the center is. Then that leaves me 4 in on one side and 4 on the other, and this one needs to be snipped out by 4, so it's 4, 4, 4. And these are pneumatic snips, and I just go in 1, 2, 3, 4 underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull it out. Then I need to do the same thing on the other side, so I flip it over, and then I 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that's what it'll need to look like. Quick and easy. Snip, 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 snip. There's 4. Snip, 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 snip. And then you go up underneath so that this one will lift. These will come out. And then your bait well will be centered right here. Said, you know, it'll go back to Randy. You know, we both do whatever part we need to do. You know, snipping's easy, you know, it's pneumatic, and all I have to do is go dip, you know. I can't really physically do all that bending anymore, so I just pile them up. I get them done, I pile them up, and they go back to Randy, and then he gets them bent and gets the bait well attached, and then it comes back to me. We just do it in stages. That makes it easier for both of us to do. You know, it's kind of like teamwork, you know, your strengths and weaknesses, what you're good at and what I'm good at, and we just make it work as quickly and efficiently as possible. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. Sometimes I don't want to do it and it puts us behind, and sometimes Randy don't want to do it and I'm sitting there going, well, I can't do anything till you do that. So, but we get it done, we get the bills paid, we eat good, and all right, I've only got 3 left, and I am so glad. I don't know if you guys know this, but yesterday we had this really, really nasty winter storm come through here, and it rained, and we had like 55-mile-an-hour wind. This wire is wet, and my fingers are red from cold because every piece of wire is still wet from yesterday. So 3 to go and I am done, and then it is coffee time. My hands are cold.
All right, now I got another roll loaded up on the rack, and we're gonna start cutting the skins, or the outer shell. I don't know what anybody else calls them. I call them skins. And so these here are 40 meshes long. So I just feed it through until I hit my stop right over there, and then I line up the mesh on the cutter and cut. Tammy takes it over there and places it on our makeshift bender, which actually works pretty good. We've been using the bender like that for how long now?
Oh, 3-4 years.
At least. Just cut and trim just like that.
Okay, and here all I have to do is grab the wire, pull it up under the bender, and pull. Now my sides are made. All I have to do is move it over to the stack, just like that.
When we first started building the traps, I bent all the skins on the metal cutter, okay? And we were building, you know, close to about 150 or 200 traps in a month. And I would, you know, have to cut the wire, stack it, then go back and bend it. Well, I had gotten wind that another fellow was building 400 a month by himself. So we went over and visited with him, and he showed us his setup. And what he did is he had something a little bit more well constructed than what we got here, but I built this in a similar fashion, you know, just out of our plywood and leftover materials laying around the yard so that we could get this built. Now what we've done here is we built us a 2x2 frame. And this 2x2 frame I took a metal yardstick, cut it in half, and screwed it into the side. Of course I drilled. I got 2 feet from front to back. That's how wide the trap is. Here I have hinges that I bought at the local hardware store. Just stainless steel type cabinet hinges. I took a piece of decking board and cut it to length. And then I took a 2x2, screwed it on the end for leverage so that Tammy could actually bend the wire. I've got this on both sides like this. Take the wire, slide it up underneath. I've got a stop right here, and this stop counts the 12 meshes for these particular traps that we need, and then we just let it roll right on through. Okay, time to let it roll. Get it? Roll, wire, roll. Now what I've got here is I've got the baffles that are all bent. I've been working on getting these shaped, I guess you could say, for attaching the bait well to it. These are going to be outside baiters, so just so you know, this is only one way to construct a trap. I'm going to be doing a video on each of the different types of traps that we build. But while you're building these, anything like, bending this baffle, you want to bend them uniformly. We cut the panel out. Tammy cut the baffle holes out. I winged the edges of them. And now what I need to do is I need to bend the center. And I do it just like that. Okay, what we got to do right now is we got to cut us some chutes or funnels, whatever you prefer to call them. Now this is a piece of wire off an older roll, and what we've got to do is we've got to cut this in 6-inch sections. We've got a 150-foot roll. It's going to make about 300 chutes or funnel, and what we do is we end up cutting them so that this half a mesh is in the center. We're going to go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll show you what the end product is. You can say hi or something. Tammy is going to be helping me by catching what I cut. Just like that. And so what you end up with is a panel that looks like that, okay? All right, well I've got one stack here built. We're going to end up with about 5 or 6 by the time we get done, so we got a little bit of work to do. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll be on to the next step.
Okay, now that we have our panels cut, what I need to do is shave off this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up in here and just snip. And that leaves this pattern. To make sure that I have that pattern on that side, I flip it just like this, and then I snip it again. Then once that's done, everything lines up and it gets 3 staples here, here, and here. All right, and then I'm just going to staple, staple, staple.
Okay, now what I'm going to do right here is I've got to cut the bait well lids for the bottom side of a outside baiter. All right, now the outside baiters, I have to go 1 mesh on either side of the other, and 8 meshes is even, so I need to add 2 meshes, 1 on each side of 10 meshes. So I'm going to cut a panel 10 meshes wide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't have to count it, but I just did that just so that you could see that. And then I'll slide this up here like that, set the cutter, and then cut the edge of the panel off. Then what I'll do is I'll trim off the, I guess you can call them prongs, on that side of the bait well. and then I'll do another 10 meshes. And if you pay attention to what you're doing, you won't have any waste. But you need 10 meshes, you got 22 mesh wide panel, you're gonna have 2 left. All right, so now this, in order to go from the back of the bait well to the front, and I'm gonna show you that when I put them together, I need to have 11 meshes. So this is a 10 by 11 mesh bait well lid. So I'll get up to 11 meshes and cut it just like that. I'll trim off the excess. Oh, here, I got that on that side. Let me do that. And that will be 11 meshes. So I cut it like that. And you just got to get enough of these cut so you have enough to do the traps that you got to put together. Well, I hope that you got something out of the video. We designed the video so that in case you're like building a lot of traps and you have the resources available to put the tools together, that you can kind of productively construct a lot of traps. Now if you're just doing 1 or 2 traps here and there, just get you some hand cutters and just get your roll of wire and go to town. But at least you know how to cut it now.
Yeah.
Yeehaw, right?
Yeah.
All right, you guys
I mean, it
take care.
absolutely is a trade. I mean, this is a trade. There are not that many people who do this.
Nope,
not for a living.
You don't make a lot of money doing it, but it keeps us out here doing what we're doing.
Yeah, we stay on the homestead. We don't have to go out a lot. We're not spending gas. We're at home. And if we don't feel like doing it, we don't do it.
That's
you know, there's generally not a time limit. Sometimes there's a specific order and it has to be out by a certain date. But most of the time we just build ahead and people come by and buy it whenever they want, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yep, it's not rocket science, but you know, I mean, that's what we do.
Yep.
And if you need to learn how to cut wire to build a trap, well, now you know how to do it.
Yeah.
All right, next video, how to build an outside baiter.